Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. As you can see, my background has changed again. Turns out my bedroom isn't ideal for filming. The lighting coming in isn't conducive to good lighting for a video. So I've moved into the spare room, or the second bedroom, and as you can see on this side, there's an unmade bed behind me, my dressing gown's over there. We still haven't fully unpacked our stuff, but we're just going to have to roll with it for the sake of keeping videos going, because I'm only really getting one up a week now, and even that one a week is doing bloody well, let me tell you that for nothing. So today I wanted to talk to you about fake tans. I have an array of them here in front of me. The smell of fake tan off them would nearly knock you out. I wanted to talk to you today about the ones I like and the ones I don't like, and the pros and cons of each. I also have some in my head that I used to use years ago. While I don't have those to hand, I will be inserting pictures of them so you will know what they look like when I speak about them. So I'm going to start with the tans I used way back in the day when I was like 15, 16, starting to use fake tan. And the first one I used was the Rimmel Son Shimmer. And this is an instant tan. It comes in a tube that looks like this. It's €6 or €7. You can get it more or less anywhere. And I used, back in the day, they didn't have a matte version like this, but they had a shimmer version, and let me tell you, it was shimmery. I used to apply this with a mitt to my legs, my arms, and even sometimes my face, which is just absolutely like cringeworthy now on hindsight, but this was my go-to when it came to putting on fake tan. Now the pros to this is there is no smell because it's not a developing tan, it's an instant tan. It's basically like makeup for your body. It also didn't require any forward thinking to apply it, to have it for a night out. If I decided at 8 o'clock I was going out that night, I could have a really good deep tan really quickly using this stuff. And another pro was when you want this stuff off your skin, it was gone. It was really easy to remove, and your skin was back to clean and fresh and white again the next morning or whenever you showered off. Now for the cons, and there were a couple of cons. The first con was, kind of ties hand in hand with being easy to remove. If a raindrop fell on your arm or your leg, you would literally have like white dots all over your tan. This was not water resistant at all. It never claimed to be, so I can't really blame the product for that. But if it was raining out at all, you could not rely on this stuff at all. Also, the shimmers in it made it look really unrealistic. That was all down to personal preference. They still make the shimmer version and it still sells quite popularly from what I can see, but it just made it look really unnatural. However, if you had any flaws in your legs or bruises, it kind of disguised it pretty well. So this was a decent product. Back in the day, it was like our bread and butter when it came to fake tan. I still have a bottle on the go. I rarely use it, it has to be said. I'd use this on a warm day when I know it's not going to rain, which isn't too often here in Ireland. So I still have about half a tube, and I bought this about a year and a half ago. So I will always have this on the go just in case there is a nice bout of weather and I can take advantage of it and have my legs out quickly. The next tan I branched into was actually my first developing tan, and that was the Garnier Ambre Solaire tanning gel. I'm going to insert a picture of it now. It has literally been about 8 or 9 years since I've used this tan, so I don't really remember too much about it, but I do remember it was glittery. It had a slight guide colour that was kind of almost like a yellowy orange colour, so you could see where you'd applied it to your skin. It was very sticky, I remember that much. I remember like not being able to get dressed for like maybe 40 or 50 minutes afterwards because it was still so sticky and wet, and also it absolutely stank like no other. Like, it was the smelliest tan I've ever used in my whole entire life. But it did produce a really deep bronzed golden glow the following morning, which was better than anything I'd experienced before. So even though it did stink and stain my sheets and everyone would be giving out to me about the smell, it was still better than anything I'd ever used before, and I really enjoyed using at the time. Fake tans have come a long way since then though, thank God. Next, I ventured into the realm of developing tans, and the first one I bought was the Johnson's one. That was like revolutionary at the time. There was serious advertising for it. Everyone was going crazy for it. I remember you couldn't find it anywhere. It was sold out everywhere. And eventually I got my hands on a bottle and I applied that, and it took like 2 or 3 nights for a colour to show up, and I wasn't overly impressed. It was just kind of patchy and muddy and looked a bit dirty. And while people loved it at the time because it was so revolutionary, the hype died down quickly afterwards when other brands started to make their own version of the products. Of gradual tanners, this is by far my favourite. This is the Garnier Summer Body Moisturising Lotion, and it comes in a bottle that looks like this. This can be gotten in supermarkets, Boots, Superdrugs, anywhere like that. As you can see, I have about between a third and half a bottle left. This gives you a colour more or less straight away, and by straight away I mean like 8 or 9 hours after you've applied it. You don't need to apply it 2 or 3 days in a row to see any sort of a colour coming. It comes more or less straight away the next day when you rinse it off. I will say there's a strong smell of the DHA from this. As you're going to bed that night, you'll smell it and it'll be like, oh, I can smell the tan. But it's a really good product, it's affordable, and I really, really like it. The next product I'm going to speak about is an old favourite, and it will always be something I'll replenish in my collection. This is the St. Moritz Instant Self-Tanning Mousse, and I buy the dark version, even though there's not a huge difference between the medium and the dark versions. As you can see, this is a pump bottle. I'm wearing this right now. I put on a layer of it last night. As you can see, it's a lovely deep glow. It's just so foolproof. I apply this with a mitt as well. It goes on so evenly, so smoothly. It doesn't dry out my skin. It doesn't absolutely stink. It does have a fake tan smell, but it doesn't like overpower you with its smell. It's just fail safe. I did a full review on this. I will link that here. So if you click on that little box there, it will open a new window for you to watch the review. I love this stuff. It will always be in my collection. It fades quite well too. It doesn't fade patchily, which is great, and it's so affordable. It's only €4 and pennies. Absolute bargain, and I love it. The next kind of fake tan product I'm going to speak about is more of like leg makeup, and this is the Sally Hansen Airbrush Legs. This is a very, very popular product and has been for quite some time here in Ireland for the last 9 or 10 years. This is basically like foundation slash corrector slash concealer for your body. I don't just use this on my legs, I use it also on my arms as well. Basically, I use this if I haven't had time or enough notice to do a full proper fake tan like my St. Moritz. So it's basically like a last minute bid for a bit of tan. If you have any bruises, veins, anything on your legs or your arms that you need concealed, maybe some acne or something, this will cover it right up and it'll make you look like you have absolutely flawless skin on your body. Its usual RRP is about 12 or 13 euro, but you'll always find it for about 8 or 9 euro in pennies or on offer in Boots or whatever. They've really brought down the prices lately. This is in the colour Deep Glow, but to be honest with you, I don't see a huge difference between all the different shades. I like this stuff especially more than the Rimmel Son Shimmer because if it rains, it does not affect this stuff. This is really, really water resistant and you won't get that like dropletty mark kind of diseased look that you get with the Rimmel Son Shimmer, and you really have to scrub in the shower to get this off, but with a good scrub it does come off clean and your skin is perfectly clean again. And yeah, I really like this stuff. Also, there's no smell because it's not a developing tan. Really like this stuff. Next is a more recent discovery for me and kind of a recent product in general. It's only been around for maybe a year and a half, and this is the Cocoa Brown by Marissa Carter 1 Hour Tanning Mousse, and this is the dark version, as you can see there. The regular version comes in a really similar can, looks like this, but it just does not have the dark written on the side. Just FYI, I'm going to lump the two versions of this product in together because, to be honest, basically this is just like applying 2 layers of the original one, basically. The depth of colour you get from the dark can is the equivalent to 2 layers you get from the regular can. This stuff is absolutely amazing. It's about 6 or 7 euro in pennies, and you can get it in supermarkets nationwide and Superdrug and stuff like that. So it's really widely available and it's really, really popular. What I really like about this is it's paraben free. It doesn't dry or irritate your skin in any way. If anything, it kind of gives your skin a bit of a moisturising boost because usually mousse tans can kind of dry out your skin just a little bit. This fake tan has the least strong DHA smell of any developing tan I've ever used. It's literally almost undetectable. You will get a little bit of a sniff of it, but really it's nothing in comparison to other tans I've used. This is also a mousse tan and it applies onto a mitt and glides onto your skin really, really smoothly. It's much like the St. Moritz in that it's foolproof, just this is a little bit darker and it lasts a little bit longer. I've heard people saying that this fades quite patchily on them, but I don't actually find that to be the case for me. A little bit of a con when it comes to the Cocoa Brown, well, 2 kind of cons. The St. Moritz seems to last me an awful lot longer. I reckon a can of this would give you maybe 3 to 4 full body applications, whereas a bottle of the St. Moritz seems to give me maybe 7 or 8 full body applications, so it's about double, but I think the product content should be about the same. The Cocoa Brown is 150 ml and the St. Moritz is 200 ml, but there's also a price difference. The St. Moritz is €4 and this is close to €7. Second con for the Cocoa Brown is a problem I seem to have encountered. It basically doesn't come out, but it's still, I'd say, half full. I tweeted them about it. I actually Instagrammed a video about it, and a lot of people commented saying they had the same problem. I know my sister had the same problem. Now, I know you can always return it to Pennies, and Cocoa Brown actually replied to me and said to email them if I continue to have problems with it. So I probably will do that, because I know it's not the most expensive product in the world, but I really like the stuff, and I don't want to have to go and buy a new can every single time when it gets to about half full. But I have heard they do have nozzle problems, but other than that, it's an amazing tan, and it's probably my favourite. Even though I said the St. Moritz is something I will always have in my collection, I can't rely on this to actually come out. I went to do my tan 3 nights ago, and then this started happening. I was like, oh shit, what am I going to do? But then I realised, okay, I can always reach for the St. Moritz, and I just applied that all over, and I know it's not going to do me any wrong. So if I could rely on the packaging of this, this would be holy grail, but I just can't. So if I had to recommend one of the two, I would still recommend the St. Moritz, even though the Cocoa Brown is nicer to use. I just can't rely on the packaging. Last but not least, I have the Vita Liberata Phenomenal 2 to 3 week tan in the shade medium. It comes in a box that looks like this. This is so expensive. This was gifted to me by a friend of mine, Rebecca. Thanks very much, Rebecca. So I actually haven't really used this too much because it is so expensive. This claims to last 2 or 3 weeks on the skin. I've applied it once just to test the theory, so I get a bit of a feel for what kind of tan it is. It applies beautifully. This is a really nice product. The colour develops nicely overnight. I will say it's not that dark, so if you're looking for a really, really bronzed skin, you're not going to get it from the medium shade. Perhaps you should opt for the dark. I've no experience using the dark, so I can't vouch for that either, but I'm sure it has to be darker than the medium, right? I did find this lasted a bit longer than most fake tans. It didn't last 2 to 3 weeks though. Sorry, that wasn't a fart, that was my phone going off. I will say this tan did last a little longer than tans usually last on me, but it doesn't last 2 to 3 weeks. I did read in instructions though that if you want it to last 2 to 3 weeks, you have to do about 3 layers. I didn't do that because 3 layers of this would have it completely gone, and I want to save it for good wear because it's like €45 or something a bottle. I don't know if I would pay that for a fake tan, to be perfectly honest with you. But that's the Vita Liberata Phenomenal 2 to 3 week tan. So that is basically all of my experience with fake tans. I do plan to film a fake tanning routine. I'm just going to wait till my skin goes back to white so I can give you a little bit of a demo, create a proper video on how I do it. Give this video a thumbs up. It's down here somewhere if you enjoyed this video. I really appreciate all of my new subscribers, all of the likes you give me, all of the comments. Lately I haven't been able to answer comments because it's been just so crazy with moving house and trying to unpack, and it's just been so stressful. But thank you so much for sticking with me. I plan to get back into the churning out videos mode really soon. I really appreciate every single one of you, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye!